All right, so we have imported our funnel in here. We have our two pages, our opt-in page and our thank you page. We know that they work. We tested the opt-in page. We also saw that we have the thank you page that it redirects to. We know our email works. Now what we want to do is we want to edit these pages. So just so you know, I'm going to give you a brief overview. It takes time and practice to learn the idiosyncrasies of this program. In fact, it's going to take you time to learn which header buttons do I click? What buttons over here do I click? What things over here do I click? But you can play around with these things until you get comfortable with it. And I also have a resource for you. So the resource is here. This is how at the bottom of, you can get this document, but this guy has been where I have all my resources. He's given me templates and training. I actually pay a yearly, like it's $700-800 a year just to get coaching from him. So I have paid to get to learn this stuff. I'm not expecting you guys to do that, but he does have a $99 a year or $9 a month done for you templates club, which is fantastic. $9 a month. It's really great. And he'll import stuff right into your account the same way I just showed you. He also has for $5 total, just $5, he has this landing page in a day thing that you can go through where he also shows you how to use Systeme-io. And so if you need this stuff, it's right there. It's right there for you. But a lot of this is just practice, just getting in here. I haven't even talked to you about what all these things are yet. We'll get to those because you have a lot of help here. So I don't want you to panic. All right. So let's just go back into where we are. You should be able to go back up. You should be able to click on funnels. There'll be one funnel here. You click on that to open it. It shows you the two pages that we're going to edit to customize so that they are delivering whatever kind of lead magnet you want to come up with. And then this inactive page, just ignore that. That's going to be there for every single funnel that you do. And even your website, when I show you how to create a website, that also will have inactive pages in there. Just don't worry about it. So let's go ahead and edit the opt-in page. So the opt-in page is this one. You have a header, you have a body section, you're going to have a button with a pop-up, you have an image of whatever it is that you're delivering, and you have a footer. And if you look at the spreadsheet here, I have the framework of the different things that you need to be able to create and build and edit. And then you also have a place where you can put in what kind of colors you want to use and what the hex codes are, what kind of fonts you want to use and the sizes of those fonts. And I, for this exact page, have filled in everything in here so you can see how this works. And you can edit it. You can edit it in a way that makes sense for you. This will be a copy document that you can have in your own Google Drive. If you get lost, you can always go back to that spreadsheet there. Let's go back to our funnels, and we want to edit this page, opt-in page. I'm clicked on to here. Tells me it's the opt-in page, so I know which one it is. And I'm going to come over here to edit page. So when I open that, this is my designer. This is my editor. And so let me just orient you. On the left are all the different sections that you can click on and bring into this is your canvas, basically. And you have text, headlines, bullet points, content boxes we'll talk about. You can add images, video, audio. You can add carousels. There's other things that you can add. You can change how many columns there are on a page. So for instance, this top section is just one column. But down here, we've got two columns. We have a column for the image, and we have a column for the text, the body that we want to put in here. But you could have 3 columns. You could have 4 columns. You can actually have as many as you want. You have areas to put in the form. You can do checkboxes. You can add social media buttons. And there's other little automations that you can put in here that are fun. Countdown timers, menus, horizontal lines. There's lots of other stuff that you can add, and I'll show you that. The other thing that you can do, which is something I really love about this Systeme-io, is that you can just edit the mobile. So I love this. Now, I edited the mobile for you, so it should come out right, but you should always come in and check mobile. And what I love about this is that we can edit some things in mobile that don't show up in the desktop, because sometimes there are things that get in the way in the mobile version, and most people are going to be on their mobile phones. So for instance, if this picture was too big, I could just delete this image from mobile, but it would still show up in the desktop version. So we'll get into that as we start to learn how to edit each section. So let's talk about sections. If I hover over this, you can see there's in the upper left-hand corner, something shows up that tells me where I am. I'm in a section, and I click on that, and then it opens up this panel right here. And this is how I can edit this entire section. And I can see right here on the left, it says section. Here it says section, so I know I'm in this section right here. And there's also a light blue thing that is surrounding this whole thing. So in this section, I can change margins. So I can come up or down. You can see I can change all that. I can change the color. So if I want a different, if I have a brand color, I can change the color of that section. I can also, thank goodness, undo. Now, undo does not always work perfectly, but especially if you're trying to go back 3 or 4 or 5 things. So be careful with the undo, but it does work. And I haven't saved anything. So if you want to save changes, you have to save as you go along. There's no autosave here. This is hard lesson learned. After every few minutes and after some major changes, go ahead and click the Save Changes button. All right. And at any time, if you made a change, let's say I'm going to change this to a pretty bright greenish color, I can always come into my preview tab, that little eyeball, and it's telling me this is a preview. Do not grab this URL and try and give it to somebody, because this is a preview and it has a big yellow orangish thing there, warning kind of thing. I could delete it so that I can see my page with the change that I just made, but that is not the right link. So it's letting me know that. Within this section, so we've got section, we've got you have all these different choices down here that you can go through, and you can decide whether it shows up on desktop or mobile, and then colors and margins and padding and all that stuff that you can do to make it look the way you want it to look. Within this section, I also have text. I have a row. So you see that. So I'm going from section and I'm coming in. I've got a row. And inside the row, I have 2 texts. I have one text up here, which is a size and a color. And I have another text here, which is a different size and different color. So within rows, you can put text. And it becomes convenient because if I go to the row, click on row, now I have all these other things that I can edit and change within a row. So it's showing me row here, and it's showing me my rows here. I have another row. It's a little bit bigger. So I have a row, and then I come again, hover another row here. So I go from section, and as I hover in here, oops, I'm in the section, I'm going to hover row, and then I've got text. Now, when I click on text, again, the text is showing up for me. It's telling me right here. I can always, if I'm not sure where I am, I can look here, or I can look at these little breadcrumbs up here to tell me where I am and what I'm editing. But also when you're in text, you also have this little area up here. So if for some reason when you're coming here to change the color of the text, if you don't see it, this is the text background. That's different than the actual text. And that's because it's just right here. So it just makes it a little bit more convenient when you're doing some of these really simple things like bolding and underlining or italicizing or doing a strike through. The option or adding a link, they're all right here, right with the text, rather than trying to scroll through here and find what you need. So that's just a little convenience things, but it can throw people off because they're not necessarily looking. So I also have made sure that you have H1 tags for the headline, versus this is an H2 tag. So we make sure we only have one H1 tag. And these are just things to help with SEO, because that you really can manage the search engine optimization for your landing page. So that's just one section. The next section is down here. I'm going to click on that. And now it's telling me this section. And this one is blue highlighted. So this one is a bigger section. You can see it's this whole big one right here. It's telling me what all my parameters are. I can change the background color. I have the background white, but I could change it to blue. Maybe I want it to have a blue background or green. So you can play around with this. And if you have your hex codes, then you put your hex codes right in here. So for me, when I was, for instance, changing the color of this right here, this text right here, when I click on the color, what I did is I went to my spreadsheet, and I knew I wanted it to be this secondary color, this lighter pink. So I was able to just grab that hex code because I had copied it when I selected that color. And then when I come back into my editor, I can put that right in there. So I'm pasting it right in there, and I click enter, and it shows up right there. Now I can also save these colors. I can enter it right here, and then see down here where it says your colors, I can click here and it's going to save that lighter pink color for me. So the next time I come through here and I need to use that pink, like in the bullet points where I used it, then when I come to choose the color, this is what I'm trying to show you. It's way down here. It shows there's my icon color right there. It's already saved. So I can do that for all of my colors. Here's my headline and here's the text here. So I have this set up as an H2 tag. You don't have to worry about that because I already set it up for you. Don't change it. Or you can come in here and you can change it if you're familiar with it, but I could also change the color here. And because I'm in the text headline, you can see right here, I also can change font size. So you can see maybe I want it bigger. Maybe I want the height spread apart more. So all these things can be changed when you're doing this. So I know I'm at, actually, I don't remember. So I'm going to come back here and I can see my H2s are, subtitles are 25. And I don't think that's true here. We're probably about 32 and 36, something like that. I'm looking at it and measuring it here. But if I needed this to be smaller, I could come to my image. So now I'm clicking on image, right? And now over here, I've got image. And this is where I uploaded the image. I also have this image attached to the pop-up because sometimes people will click on the image. So let's just take a look at this. If I come over here to the image, this is the actual URL for this page. If I click on the image, you can see it's a little hand there, and I click on it and there's the pop-up. So the pop-up is attached to the image and it's attached to the button. That's want you to see that you can attach things to images. I have the pop-up name here, and over here I have the pop-up settings. So over here I have the pop-up. I can look at it and then I can edit all the features of the pop-up. Now I did send you all of this pop-up stuff. Obviously this came in with the page when we transferred the template over. You have all this stuff done for you. Now you can go crazy with this stuff. So if you didn't like the way this was set up, you can come in here and you can round the corners. Like a lot of times people like the corners like nice and round in here. And so you can round it so it looks more with your brand. The only reason I didn't do any of the rounded corners and rounded corners on the button is because the book wasn't rounded. If the book was rounded, I might have done that, but I'm not a design expert. And so you get to do whatever you want to do here. So this is just how I have this set up. But like I said, there's so many different things that you can do to make this more about your brand and so that it looks consistent with what you're doing. The copy here we will talk about on another call, but I just put just a brief kind of prompt for you of what you should have in here, and then some bullet points and benefits, and then button headline. So we can change the button. So now when I click on button, so I clicked on button, it shows me up here I'm on the button. It shows me over here I'm on the button. So all of these things. So the button, I know when you click on it, it should show the pop-up. But there are other things that you can do with buttons. You can submit an email form, open a different URL, go to the next step. So the next step in our funnel would be the thank you page. That would make sense for us. So we want to make sure that we show the pop-up, and then from the pop-up, it goes to the next step in our funnel, which is the thank you page after they've put in their name and email. I can change the width of the button. So it can be full width for this column. This is a column right here, or it can be fluid so that it kind of changes depending on what looks best in any given browser, which I'll talk about in a second. And then I've got, of course, margins. You can change how far away this button is from the rest of the text. You can see it moves everything when I do that. So you can play around with these things and get like literally within a pixel of what it is that you want. These numbers up here represent pixels, how far you're moving things around. I was talking about image before, so I wanted to just show you that I could delete this image. And then this is whenever you create an image, whenever you bring in an image, no matter where it is, like even if it's this one, your logo image, it's going to show up a box like this size. So you're thinking, oh no, my image isn't that size. That's okay. It's just to show you that this is where the image goes. It's a placeholder. When I click on image, I come in here and I want to upload it from my hard drive. So I'm going to click upload. If I already had this uploaded into my image file, it would already be here. I would just click on your images and it would be there, but I do need to upload this. So I'm going to click select file. We've got ebook images for training. So there is the image. I'm going to click on it. and then I'm going to click insert, and then there it is. And then you can see that looks too big. That's okay. So I'm clicking on the image, and I'm going to come over here. See, it says image size, and I want to bring this down a bit so it fits a little bit better with top to bottom here. Now, so I'm going to click Save Changes. And now when I look at this, something I want you to see again, it's telling me I'm in preview mode. I just clicked on the eyeball. Oh, that's funny. It still has this change. Let's change this back to my brand color, which I saved, but that's not the one I want. Oh, that looks actually a little bit better, doesn't it, than that one? So how do I get this back to this color? I hadn't saved it. Oh, but I did. It's back here. This is the violet color. So I'm going to grab that hex code, and I'm going to come back into my editor, and I'm going to change this background color here to this hex code here. And I'm going to ask it to save it so that it's there next time I come back. All right, save changes. And now when I look at this, the eyeball, which is the preview, it's already changed it. I'm going to remove that because I understand I'm in preview. Something I want you to see is when I change the size of this, there is a responsiveness. See if I can get this to work so it shows up here for you. There's a responsiveness to this builder. So like people, there's a weird section that happens for all websites that change in size, but you can see now this would be like a tablet view. And then we're coming and we're almost into a phone view. So you can see that this is a responsive builder, which is really what we need these days. There are builders out there, believe it or not, that aren't responsive. And so it stays like a really nice site regardless of the actual size of somebody's monitor or device, with that weird sort of stage happening going from like desktop to tablet. But that's true for everything. So don't get too hung up on what it looks like, but do check that on a full screen, what it looks like versus a phone. So you want to see what those things look like. And as I showed you, you can edit everything in the mobile view as well. See on the left-hand side where it has a little mobile phone, every single place that you see a mobile phone, it will edit just in the mobile view and not in desktop view. But if we don't see something in the mobile view, like I don't see the mobile thing, if I do blur, if I add a blur to this right here, then that's also going to affect the desktop view. So you want to be a little bit cognizant of what you're changing. But for instance, this to me looks like it might be a little too big on this size. So I might bring it down just a little bit, just so that they are already into, like this text also looks too big to me. Now it's probably not. It's probably following exactly the way I have it set up. But I can always come back and check. What do I have in mobile? I do have H2, no, H1 S24. So that is really the way I have it set up. So I should be consistent. So I'm going to come back here and not second guess what I already had set up. So this is a little bit bigger. This should be 24. And usually I keep the spacing about 2 greater than the font size. So just so that it's easy on the eyes to be able to read. Okay. So there we go. We understand sections and we understand rows. So you go from a section to a row, just hovering in here. I'm just clicking in here. It can be a little finicky. There we go. So now I'm coming the other direction. So we've got text, we've got row, and we've got section. And I always click on the actual thing. There are different colors too to try to help you. So like sections here are green, text is orange, and rows are blue. But whenever I click on something, I look over here to see, okay, what is it that I'm editing? Because it can be a little bit confusing. And then down here, this is where you can put your logo. So this is the same idea as any image. You can click on the image. And again, we could get rid of that. And then you can see there is a little image placeholder for us to edit, right? And it's way too big. It's not the size we want it, but we can just come in here and I can click on the little wheel. I can click on the gear to get me to images. I can click on the image itself. The gear is more about what's going to happen once they click the image, which is what we want. Do we want it to open a URL? Do we want to show a pop-up? So let's go ahead and get our image. So I just put in a bunch of different logos in here, and it was this one. We're going to open that up. You're going to see how big this is, but that's okay. There's the logo. So you can see this logo is 1000 by 300. So I'm going to insert that. And that's not how big this shows up here. But if it did, it wouldn't matter, because all I would do was come in here and I could click on that image and I could change the size right here. Right? So you can have it look any way you want. And then when somebody clicks on that image, we could have it open a URL or show a pop-up, and then it would ask us if we wanted to open a URL, what URL do we want it to open? We would just paste the link in right there. So I'm not going to have it do anything. Then there's no link in there, so it's not going to do anything. And then we have our terms and conditions, our policies. These are just like editing any kind of Word document. So if I want to link to my policies, I would just highlight policies. And then right here, it's very convenient. There's the link right there. And I would just type in, this is where the link goes. So now let's take a look at the thank you page. And I'm going to go over a few other things that I didn't cover on the opt-in page. But just so you know, I just hid that section. There's you can get rid of this if it's in the way when you're doing some editing. So I'm just looking at this page. Now, I think this is a really busy page. And part of the reason is because I'm just trying to highlight sections. So again, we've got section 1 right here. It doesn't number them, but we can see this is the next section. This is the next section. And the footer is the last section down here. So this is the last section. Now, you will notice that there are these little arrows that show up here. And the reason is because if I wanted to move an entire section up or down, all I have to do is hit that arrow. So now you can see I just reversed those sections. So I can go down again and I could put it below the footer. That looks silly. But so if I want to move things around, you get things in here. That's what the advantage of creating with sections is. You can just group things all together and then move them if you need to move them. And to me, I find that really helpful. Up here, I just have congratulations. You could put your logo up here. So if we wanted to add a logo, we would just come in here and we could add an image. And this is just one column. So we've got a section and we've got a row. We've got a row right here. And then inside that row, we have that text. So if we wanted to add a logo up here, then we probably would want to come back into here and look at adding another column. So make this 2 columns instead of 1. And bring congratulations to one side of that column. And then in this column, we would want to come in here and grab an image and add it there. And then we could come in here and add our logo. So we already have the logo in our image files because we used it in the last footer. And then there is our logo, and we can come in here and change the size of that so it looks a little bit more consistent with what's going on here. And there's some ways that, because these are rows, we can play around with this a little bit. We got a bunch of different things happening in here. And it really depends on how you move things around. So we could do this maybe in the top. If we wanted to, we could get rid of this row. We could move this out, maybe underneath there. So we could center things like that and then just get rid of this altogether. So you can play around with this and just do it that way. Again, this is just stuff for you to look at. You do want to start branding yourself on the first page, which the opt-in page. We only want them to do one thing, and that's click the pop-up and give us their name and their email. So there's nothing distracting there. On the next page, we want to give them some information. Okay, we just sent the email. And then we want to give them another choice of something to do. So what I wanted to do is and this is totally optional, but it is a kind of a ninja trick to be able to say, while you're waiting, here's some more content for you to consume. Go to my blog, you can go to Instagram, you can go to Facebook. Here's a video telling you more about what I do. You could even go to a scheduler to say, book a call with me or schedule with me. So there's a lot of options of what you could do. So I kept this section here. And if there really was something you wanted to do and it could be a button that they could click, you could have the button right there. But what I wanted to do and show you using this page is there's a whole other level of how you can edit. And especially if, like me, you're not a designer. And that is using this section right here called blocks. If we open up blocks, there are blocks that are already created in Systeme-io that you can just click on, and they will get added to your page. And you could then come and edit these. So I just added an entire section, an entire block. So if this was my opt-in page, I might want to put this, or maybe I just want one element from here. So I can get rid of this section that I just added. And let's see, maybe I want, let's do a different block. So I'm going to come back and there's footers. So I could add different footers in here. There's a nice big footer with, I'll just add this nice big footer where it's telling you to put your logo, your contact us, your hours, your location. This is really nice for a website, right? So we don't want that on our page here. Get rid of that, go back. And then team presentation. So you could have, this would be nice for testimonials or team, who we are. So you could just edit the photos, have people's names. So there's a lot of pre-done blocks. They're called blocks over here, right? They're called blocks, but they're coming in as sections, right? They're coming in as sections, but they're called blocks. That may remind you of something right here on my spreadsheet. I also have everything can be imported into your account as a block. So every header, the body, the button, the pop-up, the footer, the thank you page header, the check your email, the next steps, all of the things that are on this page in a section, and all of the things that are in this page in a section, I also have put together for you as blocks. And here's the reason why. Because Systeme-io in their free account allows you to have only 3 funnels, but it allows you to have an unlimited number of sections or blocks that can be imported into your account. So let me say that again. You can only have 3 funnels. So you have one now that we just brought in, but you can have an unlimited amount of blocks or sections that you bring in. So you can play around with adding blocks in. If maybe you edit this and you don't like it, you can just come back in here and grab the block again. I also did a second funnel for you. This is just a fun one for you to see. I'll come back to that in a second. But I just want you to know that there's so much power in the actual blocks that you have access to that they have created for you. So there's also these welcome ones. So if you were, again, a lot of these are really for websites. If you have your website, this would be a nice, you change the background picture, and then it has the button, has everything. It looks so nice. I think they just have some great design things in here. And if you don't like it, you can get rid of it. Or let's say, I was going to say, maybe you just wanted an element. Maybe you just wanted to keep an element for you to use in another section. So you could grab that element and then use it you could just grab it. And let's say I wanted to put it up here and I wanted to put it underneath the video. So I could grab an element from another block that I like and put it into my page. So that's another reason why these blocks are really nice. Price plans, like sometimes if you're selling something and you want to have the good, better, best sort of thing, they have nice little things for this. In fact, I think this is probably the one that they use. These can be really hard to build. So it's nice to have it all comes in as a section. So you can just grab some of these. You can grab just one of the blocks. If you just wanted one block, you could grab that and use that in your website. Let's get rid of some of these so we don't clutter up too much. I like that it asks me before I delete something because I've been trying to save things. So this is how I can save something as a block, which is true for you. So once you create your footer with your policies and your links and your domain and your logo, you can come in here and you can save your own block. I would just click save and then it shows me what it is and then you can name it. So this is the power of being able to save these blocks and then use them on multiple pages, multiple websites. So you can save your own blocks and you can share blocks, which is what I've done in here. I've saved blocks. So let me just see if I can do this. I'll just grab this one right here. So I just clicked this block, which was share. What the next step is to check your email. I think that's the one that I chose. So now that I come in here and I'm in my editor, if I go to blocks, go back. If I go back into blocks, there should be a section that says my blocks. Okay, that was not there before. Now that it says my blocks, it's the blocks that people have shared with me or I've saved for myself. So this block is this one right here. So it'll add it at the bottom. If I just click on it, it'll add it at the bottom. So this is this entire block that just came in. If you see something that I've created and you want, hey, Lisa, can you share that block with me or that section with me? Yeah, sure. You know how I do it? I just come over here and I click share and it gives me a link. And I say, click to clipboard. That's exactly what I did. And I saved you all of the blocks right here in this thing, including the email campaign, which is right here. So you can share blocks. You can share entire funnels. I shared a 2-page funnel with you, but I could have shared a 10-page funnel with you. Could have been a sales funnel with an upsell and a downsell. And you can share email sequences. You do have to change. You do have to add the automations and the tags and that kind of stuff. But I'm telling you, this gets you 99% of the way there. So I hope you are impressed with this. And I look forward to answering your questions. I feel like this was a really fast overview of what Systeme-io can do. Let's go over one other thing. I have not added a domain. I didn't add a separate email address. I do recommend that you have a professional email because you cannot set this up and have email sending right away without them doing some checking of your email address. I know a lot of you are not regularly emailing your people. This is a very simple email. Obviously, you can make it look nice because you can see I added an image, I added a link, I have nice spacing. All right, so in the next video, I'm going to do a real quick one on settings and how you can add something to the bottom of the email that I think is really important. I wouldn't start emailing any people unless you had that at the bottom of your email. All right, see you in the next video.